This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and I'm going to continue on my man crush, my author man crush today with Mr. Steven Pressfield. On the Warrior Ethos. Sort of the last three podcasts have been on that, and picked apart a few quotes and things and passages that I liked. It's one of his books. I've got, I think this is the fourth book of his that I read. They're all quite small and very, very consumable, between The War of Art, Turning Pro, Do the Work, and Warrior Ethos. So, worth the read, that's for sure. Either way, the Warrior Ethos is literally all about exactly, well, it's like a bacon and egg roll, right? It's like, what's it about? It's like, what's a fucking bacon and egg roll? The Warrior Ethos, what's it about? Well, it's like the ethics of the fucking warrior. So, pretty much what it is. Then we're going to go through page 79 today. The war inside ourselves, which, I mean, like, how many times do I have this fucking conversation, honestly? But it's beautiful, it's poetic, and it's true, and it's honest, and it's raw, and that's why I love it. So we're going to go through it again, and I'm going to ask you to please bear with me as I go through some of the words, as I don't know what some of the words would be pronounced as, and you'll see why as we go through. War inside ourselves. The Bhagavad Gita is the great warrior epic of India. For thousands of years, Indians' structure has been dominated by two elite social orders, the poets and holy men, and the warriors and nobles. The Bhagavad Gita is a story of great warrior Arjuna, who receives spiritual instruction from his charioteer, who happens to be Krishna, therefore God in human form. Krishna instructs Arjuna to slay his enemies without mercy. The warrior god points across the battlefield to knights and archers and spearmen whom Arjuna knows personally and feels deep affection for, and commands him to kill them all. But here's the interesting part. The names of these enemy warriors in Sanskrit can be read two ways. They can be simply names, or they can represent inner crimes or personal vices such as greed, jealousy, selfishness, the capacity to play our friends false, or to act without compassion toward those who love us. In other words, our warrior Arjuna is being instructed to slay the enemies inside himself. You see, human history, anthropologists say, can be divided into three stages: savagery, barbarism, and civilization. Warrior codes arose during the period known as High Barbarism. Many noble cultures fall under this category, from Native American tribes to Cyrus's Persians to the Greeks and Trojans made immortal in Homer's Iliad. The warrior's ethos origins are primitive. Its genesis lies in the eye-for-eye ethic of humanity's most ancient and primordial epochs. The Bhagavad Gita changes this. It takes the warrior ethos and elevates it to a loftier and nobler plane, the plane of the individual's inner life, to his struggle to align himself with his own higher nature. Right, cool. Besides the words I couldn't explain very well. Let's keep moving through. I don't speak Indian. I'm sorry. That's not racist. Don't email me. So let's get to the interesting point, right? Krishna instructs Arjuna to slay his enemies without mercy. Now, what's interesting out of Steven Pressfield's writing with this is the fact that he said the warrior god points across the battlefield, right? The battlefield to knights and archers and spearmen, right? Who Arjuna knows personally and feels deep affection for. Think about that. Warrior god, a god that's within us, points across the battlefield, which is our mind, to knights, archers, and spearmen, to people that are capable of harm, whom Arjuna knows personally and feels deep affection for. He's feeling deep affection for his shadows, because he knows them personally, even though he knows they're dangerous. And he commands them to kill them all, right? It's so fascinating how easy this is actually relatable to each and every one of us, is that when we turn on our battlefield and see our shadows for what they are, we actually see deep affection for it. And this is why, we struggle when we see this in other people, even though we don't think we actually have these values within ourselves. And this is really fascinating. It's like the names of these enemy warriors in Sanskrit can be read two ways. They can be simply names, or they can represent inner crimes or personal vices, such as greed, jealousy, selfishness, the capacity to play our friends false, or to act without compassion towards those who love us. Right? Think about that. Look at this for a second. Personal crime, personal vices, the capacity to play our friends false. These are spearmen, archers, and knights. They're dangerous. These are dangerous components if we are not able to actually have some form of integration with them. And this is my point here, is like, do we kill them or do we integrate them? Well, we kill the power they have over us. That's the key there. We don't kill the power, we kill the power that we allow them to have over us, and that's really different. And what we need to do in order to do that is actually turn within our battlefield, acknowledge them, and learn how to instruct them, as opposed to get rid of them. And that's different. So we're not killing them, we're killing the power of them, right? We're slaying the enemies, we're slaying the expression of fault upon things that are out of our control. And what we do is we turn towards ourselves to the things that we can control in order to be able to become a more powerful being, because that's what the world needs. We don't need weaker people. Men, women, I don't give a fuck. We don't need weaker them. We need stronger them. And in order to do that, we have to learn how to accept ourselves fully and wholly. And when we do that, we're powerful. That's true power. It's not rejecting and just being happy and positive all the time. That's not fucking powerful, because you're rejecting half of the universe. You have to be able to learn to integrate that component to us. And it's challenging and it's difficult, and that's why it's often seen as a battlefield. Interesting. So, what does this look at? Well, the last part I like, he goes on to talk about how the warrior ethos is, or the warrior code, should I say, is heavily related to, barbaric nature. Right, and this is what's quite fascinating, is that even though we still have this within us, and it's not something that I believe that we are as a species ready to get to hang the boots up, so to speak. What we do have the ability now, though, with a world view, with a global view, with a global understanding of how we work and how we think, and the removing race and this leveling up of consciousness, is that we can maintain this warrior code within us with this layer of ethics and ethos and morals and virtues that actually overlay it. And this allows us to be able to use our sword, but use it with compassion. Because this is one of the things that we have to remember, is that if we have a sword but we don't have empathy, then the sword has us. And it's really important that we learn to be able to integrate the whole spectrum of emotions, to be able to use our sword, which is actually our weapon, which is actually, it could be art, it could be, the way that you play sport, it could be whatever vehicle you choose that is natural and native to you, that will allow you to be able to live a life via your warrior ethos, via the ethics. Because if you're a warrior but you don't have ethics, then you got to look at the sense of going, well, what really are you, right? You're not complete. You're incomplete. Whereas when we're able to take on, and this is the same as king, warrior, magician, lover, it's 4 archetypes of the mature masculine. When we look at that, the warrior is incomplete if they're not integrated via the lover, which is meeting in the middle, which allows the warrior to use their sword empathetically. It's so quite fascinating, but this story gets told again and again and again and again, and that's why it's archetypal. That's why it's a symbol within our, what Jung would say, that like the deeper levels of consciousness, the unconsciousness, that's collective across the broad spectrum of human beings, because this doesn't change. We need to learn to bring the warrior outside of us. See, what's going to stop the bullshit that's happening around us right now is not rejecting the warrior, it's learning to integrate the warrior. And that's a whole new level of fun that we will cover next time. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, if you haven't already checked out Mood Prep Online or the Coaches Circle, if you're a PT, a coach, or an athlete, then jump on davenixon.com.au/memberships and check it out. Otherwise, if you found this beneficial, if you found it useful, it would mean the world to me if you'd pass it on to a friend that you think would also find it beneficial. Otherwise, team, until tomorrow, peace and pizza, keep today in the dick, and slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.